Yes, it's always a pleasure to have you on Insights. My name is Lawrence Omoiti. Welcome to the show. Well, the Renewed Hope agenda has been the mantra of President Bola Tinubu's administration since its inauguration on May 29, 2023. The priority areas of the Renewed Hope agenda revolves around reforming the economy to deliver sustained inclusive growth, strengthen national security for peace and prosperity. It's also to boost agriculture to achieve food security and unlock energy and national resources for sustainable development, not forgetting enhancing infrastructure and transessential pillar of development. Well, in the last 647 days in office, how well has the president fared in implementing this agenda? Well, we are about to find out in the course of the show. My guest today on Insight is the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Temitope Ajayi. Welcome to Insight, sir.
Good morning. Great to be here.
And it's good to have you, even at such a short notice.
Yeah, you called and I have to answer.
Yes, the last time I tried to reach out to you, you were out of the country on official duty. Yes. And you promised to attend the show once you were back, and you have kept your promise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much once again for having you on the show.
Thank you.
Well, as I said, our guest is Temitope Ajayi, who is a Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. So he's a member of the Presidential Media Team. You can join us on our live stream on Citizen FM 93.7. All you need to do is type Insight on Google, and you can also listen to us online on www.citizenfm.ng, or follow us on our social media platforms, 3 of them. On Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja, on Instagram at Citizen FM 937, and also on X at Citizen FM 937. And you can be part of the show. And in the next 30 minutes or thereabout, we will open the phone lines. We just want to lay some foundation for our discussion with Mr. Ajayi. All right, Mr. Ajayi, let's start this way. It's 3 months or thereabouts short of 2 years. Mm-hmm. In fact, in actual fact, 647 days and counting since the administration came on board. Generally speaking, how has the journey been so far, at least from the prism of a member of the Presidential Media Team?
Well, I think I would say it has been an interesting journey of the last 600 and how many days now?
47 days.
647 days. Mm-hmm. And like we rightly said, in another 3 months, it will be 2 years in office. That will be midterm. That will be the midterm. So actually, there is something to say, an account to give Nigeria and how far we have gone, or how far the president has gone in running the country. Well, it has been a bumpy ride. I'm sure you know that in terms of security. And you have also read out the 8 priority areas where the government is focusing on in terms of secure economy, security, food security, healthcare, infrastructure, and social services, as the case may be, or social investment. So, well, economy was a major issue around the last election, and it was because at that point, we know that since 2014 or thereabout, Nigeria has been struggling in terms of managing our economy. I've had a lot of pressure on the monetary and the fiscal side. If you will recall, by 2014, around from August 2014, almost 30 about 30 states out of the 36 states of this country could no longer pay salaries of their workers. And I remember then, 30 states were owing between 8 and 13 months salary of their workers. So, and if you recall, President Buhari had to bail out some of these states twice. Then there was Paris refund to state, which was a way to stimulate, to help the states to get their head above water, to be able to pay their salary. There were a lot of budgetary support, capital investment support. Within the first 2 years of Buhari administration, there were about 3 interventions that the federal government made to the state to be able to pay their salaries of their workers. And the thing is, because most of Nigeria, our economy is still largely informal, the percentage of our economy that is formal or organized private sector is about 10% of the economy. So it means that, and because outside Lagos, outside about 6 states in Nigeria, the other states are like what you call civil service states. The economies of those states is dependent on when government, whether state or local government, are able to pay salary of their workers. Once a state government in, say, Zamfara, Yobe, Ekiti, or Osun, for example, once they are not unable to pay salary of their workers for 2-3 months, the economies of those states will collapse. Because everything around those states, the economic activities around those states, around 30 states in Nigeria, revolve around payment of civil servant salary. Because civil servant will have to buy food, pay their rent, pay for transportation, pay school fees of their children. So once they are unable to do that for 3-4 months, then there's going to be a depression in the economies of those states. Those are the carryover of the economy turbulence and troubles in terms of being able to meet their daily Tinubu campaign. That while appreciating and acknowledging the good job that the Buhari administration did in the area of infrastructure, security, improvement, of course, again, to pivot back on security. We all knew that before 2015, almost the entire Northwest and Northeast were taken over by Boko Haram. Then, of course, we also had trouble in North Central with herdsmen, farmers' clutches. So Nigeria was besieged. It was a country under siege. Of course, Buhari administration was able to do as much as he could, but the problems were still there. So, and if you recall, President Tinubu, while campaigning, said that he was coming to inherit both the liabilities
and the assets
of the Buhari administration. Of course, government is a continuum, and he also has a special, what I would call a special fortune of also being from the same party as the
outgoing president,
as the former as his predecessor. So even when people were trying to make an issue that APC, the same APC government, he said no, we are different. We belong to the same party. Our party manifesto and ideology is the same, but in terms of governance template, there could be an approach. There could be difference because we are different people. We have different level of understanding of how the country or the economy should be managed, and that was why he said no. Buhari administration under the APC made a lot of progress, but they were not enough to take us to where we should be. So I am coming to improve on governance index, on governance performance, and wherever Buhari has done well, I will continue in those areas. Where he hasn't done so well, we will do better. So, and that is what he has been doing in the last about 2 years.
Okay, thank you for this background that you've laid. Yeah. Okay, when the president came on board, in the last 2 years that we are talking about, the president is on record to have taken some very tough decisions And each time the president speaks to Nigerians, he says, things will get better.
Yes.
Bear with me.
Yes.
But there seems to be, some people seem to be, when exactly will things begin to improve?
Things are actually getting better.
Okay.
And if you look at, again, on the economy side, it's still, because it's the elephant in the room. When economy of a country begins to be troubled or go into recession or tanks, it doesn't happen in a day or in a year.
It's a gradual
It means it's always an accumulation of bad choices
over the years.
That so people begin to, when you always passion it up, at times there will be a semblance of, okay, everything is shining, but you know what we call a white sepulcher, a beautiful burial ground that is dressed. It's very beautiful from the outside, but once you open up the vault, you know what is inside.
It's inside there.
It's a stench. So that has been the best way to describe our economy in the last 40 years. We have always been patching things up, just making it look good from the outside, when in actual fact, everything is not together.
Okay.
So, what did the president do from first day? Fundamental distortion.
Okay, just a moment, Tokwe. The phone lines are buzzing, and I'm afraid we have to take this call. Hello, good morning.
But you said 30 minutes.
Yes. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Who's on the line, please?
My name is Stella.
Okay, Stella. Okay.
I'm calling all the way from Life Camp.
Okay, from Life Camp. Please go ahead with your question.
All right. First of all, I want to greet Mr. Tope. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
And it is good to know that we have someone from the presidency in the building.
Thank you.
And I want to say, yes, we understand that things are hard and the president has been making a lot of promises. And it will really be good to see those promises actualizing, because the hardship in Nigeria is so difficult at this point that even a person earning 50,000 naira cannot take anything home. It is very difficult. You cannot go to the market with 20,000 naira and come back with a full leather that you see something that will last you for a week. It's not possible. Please, help us inform the president to do more to work for us citizens.
Thank you. Work every day he goes to bed, he's thinking about solution, and he's always at his desk working. The caller rightly said, cost of things are still above an average, the reach of an average Nigeria. But the truth of the matter is, things are getting better. And we can give examples, empirical evidence. 6 months ago, 12 months ago, average price of staple foods, the commodity, the food that we eat almost regularly, whether grain, rice, gari, beans, yam, are reducing. I remember this time last year, 50 kg of beans, the red bean, what we call red beans, or red beans, if I could describe it that way. Yeah, thank you. Was almost going to 300,000 for 50 kg. Today in the market is around 120. So it has actually dropped by more than 50%. I know rice is our common staple food. The price is coming down. That was when the food regulation of the downstream was announced last year, October. It went as high as 1,400 per liter. But today, it's less than 1,000. Between 925 to 960, depending on the first station you patronize. So really, the economy is stabilizing, is correcting itself, and on the security front, there is more Nigerian farmers in our rural areas or in our farm settlements, especially in the northwest and northeast, are able to go back to their farm. Why? Because last 1 year or more, the government has taken the battle to the domain of bandits and Boko Haram. As of today, over 10,000 terrorists, whether you are 10,000 Nigerians in different captivity that have been held hostage by different band of criminals, have been rescued and reunited with their family. So, in every area, in each of the priority areas, you can say there is commendable and appreciable progress that has been made. And let's even use FCT as which is where we are or where we live now as the example. There is nobody who lives in Abuja, FCT, or within the 6 area council that will not say that in the last 1.5 years there has been. Every day you move around Abuja, you see progress. In the roads that are opening up, the bridges, even the satellite towns. Hundreds of kilometers of road have been constructed. Schools are being renovated in Abuja. If our metro line that had not worked for how many years, it's already being run. So everywhere you go, we can see progress, and we are saying that the president is saying that, like he has always said, Nigerians should bear with him. He feels the pain. He's a father. He's a grandfather. He has children, whether biological and non-biological. He has friends across Nigeria who always tell him, give him almost a daily feedback report
on WhatsApp,
outside the official communication channels. So he feels the pulse and the pains of Nigerians, and is working every day to make sure that relief comes to Nigerians.
Okay, Mr. Jai, let's still stay with the economy. Energy is another important aspect of the Nigerian economy. And over the years, in the last 2 years or thereabout, the government has also been battling with stabilizing that sector. The government strategy for the energy sector. It seems as if the president or the government have not gotten it yet. What exactly is happening in the energy sector?
Well, when you are talking about the energy sector now, I take it that you mean power supply, electricity supply,
inclusive, and oil
and gas,
petrol, oil and gas, everything,
everything, totality. The major agenda or priority of the government, of the president, is energy security. And Nigeria is well endowed. We all know that Nigeria is well endowed. It's the largest oil producer in Africa. But be that is may, Nigeria is actually a gas country. We have more gas reserve than crude oil. And the government and the president exploit all our energy mix to the advantage of citizens, such that and he has started with deregulation of the downstream, local refining. Port Harcourt refinery and Warri refinery were not working. We were all hoping and praying and putting all our refinery in Port Harcourt, which is the newer one that was commissioned in 1989. Maybe before the end of the year. It will also be running. So between Port Harcourt and Warri, we are going to have a combined capacity of about 260,000 barrels per day. If you have that with Dangote, which is, I think the last I read was already doing like 60% capacity. So Dangote is probably doing at the moment about 350,000 barrels a day. So it means that between Dangote and NNPC refinery, we'll be doing like 600,000 barrels a day, which is actually far more than the 450,000 that we need for domestic consumption. So that we need for domestic consumption. So it means in another 12 months, Nigeria is going to be a net exporter of refined products.
Okay.
And that has a huge economic benefit. One, you are going to be earning forex. Then, because we are no longer importing as we were importing before, it means we can preserve our foreign exchange.
And it will reduce the pressure.
The pressure on forex. And we are beginning to see that. In the last 1 month, Naira has gained over 300 against dollar. As of December, it was always 1,800 to a dollar. Today, it's less than 1,500. So those are the benefits.
Okay, before we leave the energy sector, there's this other nagging problem, which is the tariffs.
On electricity.
Electricity, not just electricity, recently too, the tariff on telecoms. The labor unions are spoiling for a war in the next of the thing. So how do we manage this?
You know, the truth of the matter is, you know that this common saying that you have to break an egg to make an omelette. You cannot have an omelette without breaking an egg. The truth of the matter is, the two sectors you mentioned, both telecoms and power sector, are intensely capital intensive. And it means that for you to run this sector, the right investment must be made. Investment that are always denominated in dollars. Because some of the equipment you are going to buy, you either buy them from Europe, America, or China. So you are paying in dollars. Now, let's look at energy. We all know that $1 billion.
I now save is my investment.
Until $1 billion.
I now save is my investment.
Until President Tinubu had all the issues and he signed an executive order last year, May, to be able to remove, or there are still little knot and bolts to be tied, to be able to get the sector to deliver the kind of value we want to Nigerians. So the first thing he did was, okay, we have to deal with this matter of tariff. And that was why last year, especially on electricity, we had what we call band A, band B, band C. The idea is...
But that also seems...
Yeah, but the truth of the matter, power supply. If you are in band A, averagely now you enjoy 20 hours a day. And I think the regulator and DISCOs and GENCOs, we must be fair to them. They are doing the best they can do under the circumstance. But don't forget that to protect the vulnerable, the federal government is still paying subsidy on electricity. So the subsidy on electricity has not been totally removed. It was only removed for band A. Band B, C, D. They still enjoy some form of subsidy.
So what about the telcos? Let's touch on that before we move on.
Yeah, the telcos, I know.
Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Who's on the line, please?
Girls. Or ladies. So.
My name is Precious, and I have a question for our guest today.
Okay, his name is Temitope Ajayi.
There is a proposed protest by the NLC for March 1st because of the tariff hike on calls and data. What is the government doing to ease the effects of these incessant hikes on the common man?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I'm sure Mr. Ajayi will answer that.
Well, I know that I think between now and Friday, the government through the NCC Ministry of Communications, I think SGF and NSA, and the operators and the NSC, they are going to be meeting. Between now and Friday, to look at all the. Don't forget that in their last meeting, a committee they said they gave themselves 2 weeks time to go and look at all the issues and all the numbers. Don't forget that in the last 12 months, the service quality has been dropping.
Yes.
Whether it is called
is it deliberate?
It's not deliberate. It is because for the first time, MTN declared loss. In the telco, they all declared loss for the first time since 2003, when they started business. MTN declared loss. That was a company that was declaring over $1 trillion profit. So what that means is they are not able to make new investment that will improve service quality. Even when some of their base stations and other infrastructure has problem, of course, there's also even problem of vandalism.
Okay.
People vandalizing the cables, the willful attack on the base stations and even the cost of replacement is becoming a problem for them because they are not making enough money from their operation.
All right. Okay. So, Mr. Ajayi, so we keep our fingers crossed till weekend to see what is the outcome. Well, if you are just joining us, it's Insight on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja, and our guest has been Temitope Ajayi, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. The program will return in a moment. Please don't go away. Thank you for staying tuned. It's still Insight on Citizen FM 93.7 FM here in Abuja. My guest has been Temitope Ajayi, a Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. You can join the conversation. You can call us on 0903 2229 That's 0903 2229 or you can call us on 0818 222205. That's 0818-222205. And you can also use a WhatsApp call, and we will react to that. And don't forget also that you can join our live stream on YouTube. Just type in Insight, and you can be www.citizenfm.ng. And not forgetting our social media platforms on Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja. Quickly, because we have less than 15 minutes to wrap it up. And so, away from economics, let's look at some politics before we go. There seems to be a convergence of some political forces you may wish, both within and outside the president's political party. And maybe let's start from yesterday's interview from former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai, who many believe was very close to the president. But in that interview, he more or less said the president threw him under the bus, said he was unfairly treated by the president.
Well, is former Governor El-Rufai is a distinguished Nigerian and a senior member of the party. Of course, he has, in recent times, he has expressed some of his views on a number of issues. I really think at this point, because of the way our social media and the segment and media operate, we always like to that it's normal in politics for people to express certain views. It's not every view that politicians express that so much conflagration as being projected or being portrayed on social media.
Are you saying this is a media creation?
Yeah, I think more or less it's not. Media thrives on stirring up controversy. So some of them, you say one thing, they give it different meaning. And
okay,
of course,
just a moment. There's another call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, another woman.
Another woman. It's like we're having a feast of women this morning.
Good morning. Who is on the line, please?
My name is Uju. I call from Use.
Okay, Uju, please go ahead.
Oh God, I say make I ask because I get younger brother. He say that's on a youth conference. It will still happen.
Yes,
I beg if it will happen, make them tell us how we want to take it down.
It will happen. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and special and it's already working on the template on how the conference will flow, the selection process, and how the whole thing is going to come up together. So I'm sure, don't forget that the president said within this first quarter, there should be clarity on when the youth conference will hold and Nigerians will be duly informed. But it will happen, madam. So to answer your question directly, it will happen.
All right. So back to the El-Rufai matter.
Yeah, as I was saying. So I think it's just a mere storm in a teacup. I don't think there's any serious issue as as even if there are issues, they are not the kind of Armageddon that the media and social media is trying to make it to look like.
Okay, well, the media and the social media may be accused of that, but what about the other aspects of it? We've seen in recent times other political heavyweights trying to converge, trying to get together ahead of the election.
Politicians will always play
Are you
politics.
saying the presidency is not bothered about this?
The president's only job now is how to fix the country. He has a 4-year mandate. Nigerians voted for him to improve their lives. Nigeria voted for him to make the economy better. Nigeria voted for him so that security problem will be significantly reduced, if not totally eradicated, so that people can travel any time of the day to any part of the country without carrying. There is a part of the country now that people are afraid to go to because of one security threat or the other. So the president is focused on these things. When it is time for another politicking, then we will all come out in full force. But for now, you should know that politicians will always play politics.
Okay.
But what we have said is we shouldn't be a country that where politicians play politics every day. We should be a productive country, a productive economy, where politics is only played actively during electoral cycle. After election, then there should be governance. And that is what the president is focused on, and that is what he's committed to. So, of course, it's normal. We're in a democracy, and the people have freedom of association and freedom of expression. So, the politicians can converge wherever they want to meet. They can make pronouncements.
Is to ensure the security of attract the attention of the president.
Definitely.
Now, I want us to talk about two incidents. One, Osun State, and the second one is the Lagos.
Properly handled. So you have already said, if not properly handled. But Osun State, well, don't forget that the election, the purported election that took place on Saturday was against the advice and advisory of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice in Osun State will be illegal. I'm using his exact word, egregious and unconstitutional.
But some have said he's not the court.
Well, but he's the chief law officer of the country.
Okay.
So he's constitutionally mandated to give legal opinion.
Okay.
And legal advisory. It's the Attorney General of the Federation.
Those are not laws, just advice.
Well, so don't forget that there is a subsisting case in Osun State that led to a form of disagreement and uproar between the APC and PDP. It's on the legality and constitutionality of illegally dissolving local government
councils
administration. And there is a Supreme Court pronouncement on that. A clear Supreme Court pronouncement that governors have no power under Nigerian law and constitution to dissolve local government at will, because it's a creation of the constitution. So, on the basis of that, even the Supreme Court actually ruled that any state where local government administrations are illegally dissolved or abridged should not receive
allocation.
The local government allocation. That was a Supreme Court pronouncement, a Supreme Court judgment. So, what is the bone of contention in Osun? The former governor organized the local government election before he left office. After the election, after his own election, where unfortunately he lost to the incumbent governor. Whether you agree with him or not, the election was properly conducted. Of course, the succeeding PDP administration of the state disagree with the election. Of course, we all know what governors want to do with local government. They always want their own party men and supporters to be in charge, either as local government chairmen or as councillors. So we know that is politics. However, the local government was dissolved. Then the other aggrieved parties went to court. Appeal court has ruled that what the governor did, or I should say government did, was illegal. That the APC elected local government chairman were validly elected. They should go back to their... Of course, the only thing that is open to Osun State government
should have gone on appeal
to the Supreme Court to appeal.
Okay.
Not encouraging civil unrest and ironing talks to go and be attacking people.
All right. Before we round off, there are a few issues I want us to touch briefly.
Okay.
One, the president was very much present during the launch of the IBB memoirs, and predictably, this generated a lot of interest. And there are those who believe that the president was a prominent member of the June 12th product of the June 12th struggle, the pro-democracy and everything. And some people believe that why was the president at that book launch?
He's the president of the country. And a former president, a former military head of state, invited him as a special guest, even by virtue of protocol, state protocol, and respect for the office. Don't forget, he too will leave the office
one day.
He will probably want to launch his own memoirs, and he will want to invite any living president at that time. So it's courtesy, it's simple courtesy. It doesn't matter how you feel about the author or the book, and that is just one aspect. So the president is is a very courteous man. He's a man that respects people. He respects whether you are high or low, or he respects people. So naturally, nobody should expect that a former president will invite a sitting president to an event. When last year, Femi Adesina was launching a book on the Buhari, on his Buhari years, President Buhari was in attendance. President Tinubu attended. I'm sure if General Gowon is launching his memoir tomorrow, or President Jonathan is launching tomorrow, or President Obasanjo, if they invited him, he will
be there.
He will be there. That is just matter of state protocol. However, Nigerians have said a lot of things about IBB and his book. And my personal view, is he has a right to his own account of history. An autobiography is a personal story. It's a personal narrative. He has told his own story. Whether we accept it
or not,
wholesale or not, is left for book reviewers and for us to form our opinions. But I think that what cannot be denied is that President General Babangida has a right to his own version of history. It is personal recollection. And his recollection will not be perfect. There might be issues here and there. It's about his personal recollection. So I think we should cut him some slack. So it's like me tomorrow writing my own autobiography or memoir. Our recollection of history of events, people, and circumstances may differ depending on where we are at that moment in history and how we experience it. We can experience the same thing differently.
In different ways. Okay, Mr. Jai, my producer has just informed me that he will give me additional 10 minutes because it's not every day we have the opportunity of getting a presidential.
Thank you to Madam or Mr. Producer for granting us 10 minutes extra. Thank you.
All right. So before we go, the president and this government wants to conduct another census. And history has taught us that right from 1866, when that first census was conducted in the Lagos colony by the British colonial government, to the last one of 2006, it's always a controversial project.
Yeah.
Is this administration ready for that controversy?
We are going to bring the jinx. Yeah, and that is why, like yesterday, the MPC chairman led his management and board to see the president. And the president was yesterday was telling them, of course, we all know the importance of census to start with. You cannot plan for the people when you don't have accurate data. You don't even know the number of citizens you have or the number of aliens living in your country. For demographic, for data capturing, for planning, for statistical planning, economic planning, whatever kind of planning you want, you must have a near perfect
estimate
of the people in your country. Of course, we also know that issues around census are intensely political, and also because there are also cultural issues around the religious issues. So it's something that has to be delicately managed. And we also live in an environment where our society is not a homogeneous society. It's heterogeneous. So you have how many ethnic groups, how many so as the case may be. So of course, like you rightly said, census in Nigeria has always been controversial. There has never been a unanimity of mind or purpose on any census figure in Nigeria since we started doing census. But be that is made, the president was clear yesterday in his charge to MPC that this census, we cannot continue to be a country that cannot count the number of its citizens successfully. So, the president has said this census will be scientific. There will be some science between in conducting the exercise. And what is the science? 2025, Abi, 2025, the level of technological and scientific advancement that we have now, we didn't have it 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 100 years ago. So that means now with biometrics, Abi, with data capturing machine, we should be able to have a near perfect census. And the president was clear, this census will happen, all the inhibiting factors will be removed, and the president said something that was also very profound, that development partners had always funded over 40% of our previous census. President said yesterday, no, don't, before you go and meet development partners to assist, before you go outside to go and ask for assistance, what is your own capacity, your own internal capacity, your own technical capacity, your own financial capacity? And that was why he said he's going to set up a committee that will look at all the issues to know what we can do ourselves as a country, the level of funding that the Nigerian government can afford. It doesn't want to rely on donors, because again, when you rely too much on donor fund, they also have their own interest.
Okay, Mr. Jai, let's look at the foreign scene. There are a lot of things to talk about. I'm just a little bit overwhelmed by the number of questions there. But let's look at the foreign. Let's start from the African or the West African sub-region, ECOWAS. The president has pulled his weight, so to speak, in that sub-region as the president, chairman of the authorities of ECOWAS, heads of state and government. He has really, but a lot of people say that he has also faced the challenge of the withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger from ECOWAS. That this has been a major minus in the spheres of influence.
Well, don't forget that the president has a mandate as the chair to execute the policy of ECOWAS. And what was the policy of ECOWAS? Which is also the same policy of African Union and United States and United Nations. Is military administration is a no. So there are sanctions to be applied to unconstitutional takeover of government. So it's only unfortunate that the three countries, all of this happened about the same time is the share of ECOWAS. Be that as it may, ECOWAS is still extending olive branch. They are still exploring diplomatic solution. And don't forget that, I think it was January, that, of course, after all the diplomatic shuttles, sending former head of state, sending former president, and I know as at last count, the president of Ghana and Senegal are the latest ECOWAS envoy to continue to engage the military junta in the three countries you mentioned. By ECOWAS protocol, after like a year or two, you have announced your withdrawal. If you don't come back, then they will allow you to go. Even at that, so effectively, the three countries are no longer members of ECOWAS from January this year. But ECOWAS is still giving them another 6 months window till June. And again, because of on humanitarian ground, ECOWAS is still allowing their citizens to be able to travel across the sub-region with their own passport now. Ideally, they should now be getting visa to come into any ECOWAS country, because the economy and the people of the region are in one way or the other integrated, either culturally or by business or by trade, commerce, and religion. Especially Niger, Mali, so where you have a strong Fulani population. So you all look at all those affinity, and that is why ECOWAS is also magnanimous and still giving room for diplomatic resolution. So we know the problem in Africa, and in West Africa especially, with the Sahel region, where there's, and part of the problem we're having with security across the sub-region is also the flow of arms and collapse of government of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So the Maghreb, the terrorists, all of them that are operating around that region, they are easily able to move arms and ammunition. And the three countries are actually the epicenter. Unfortunately, the kind of security that the people of these countries think, or if you say they will have under military government, is actually not happening, because they're actually losing more ground and territory to those terrorists. So ECOWAS is dealing with the issues, and President Tinubu as the chairman is also still using both front and back channel to make sure that diplomacy still has a place in resolving the issues.
Okay, Mr. Jai, before we go, the Trump presidency his emergence seems to have shaken the world to its foundation. But what is the relationship between the United States and Nigeria currently?
Nigeria has a very beautiful, almost perfect relationship with America. So President Tinubu, when President Trump won his election, he sent him his goodwill message. When he was sworn in on January 20th, he sent him goodwill message. So the Trump emergence in Africa, I don't see it's not going to affect the relationship between the two friendly countries.
Even with talks of deportation of Nigerians, renting the air almost every day.
See, there is no country wants illegal immigrants. Nigeria too doesn't want illegal immigrants because it has security and economic implication. So ideally, you are advised not to engage in what is called irregular migration. What is irregular migration? Going through all these dangerous routes to get another country. or overstaying your visas. You are given a visiting visa to go to US or UK or anywhere in Europe, and your visa says you have 6 months, 3 months, whatever, and you are overstaying. You are even putting yourself in a difficult situation, because really you can't. You are as good as I'm trying to look for the right word. You can't function in those societies with a visiting visa. You can't work. You can't do anything. So, of course, people believe that it's always greener
out there,
but it is not. It is not. Of course, people will always travel. People have their reasons, but I always tell young people and people around me that it is not as rosy as people make it to seem. Some of you are doing far better. You have better living quality of life in Nigeria. You are making more money in Nigeria. You know, I always joke with my friends in America, in Europe or America. I said, I don't really know why the whole Japa thing. I said, why should you in Nigeria, for example, a young man, a professional in Nigeria, you have 2 cars or 3 cars, you are living in your own house, then you still have 20-30 million naira savings in your account, then you go and sell everything, then you go to Canada or America or Europe, you carry your family on student visa. But you get there, you find out that things are not as smooth or as rosy as you are made to believe. So I always say, why will you, I told a friend recently, last year, I said, why will you want to leave all the good things you have in Nigeria to go to a country where 90% of their citizens do not have $500 in their account? Go and look at the number. 90% of Americans do not have $500 in their account. So, even with our exchange rate. So, how much is $500? Less than $1 million. So, how can you have 400 million in Nigeria? You have 50 million in Nigeria, 60 million in Nigeria. You sell your house, sell your everything, leave your family, leave your body, you move to another country. So it means you are actually far better off, because where you are going, 90% of their citizens do not have $1,000 in their account. $1,000 is less than one, even at our current exchange, $1,000 is less than 2 million. But you are in Nigeria, you have 20 million in your account. You have a house, you have 2 cars, your children are going to good school. You leave all of that, you have good job, or you have good business. You leave all of that behind. Then you are saying you are moving to America or to Canada or to Europe. Of course, people have different aspirations in life. You cannot deny people the right to go to wherever they want to go. But my point is, President Trump has a right to secure his country, to stop illegal immigrants, and Nigeria. I don't think Nigerian government or any government in the world should have problem with that, with a country trying to secure its own border, because we want to secure our own border too.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jai. But before I let you go, I know that you've been a journalist almost all your life. You've also been a public relations practitioner.
You have really dug up a lot of me
over the years. So, but what does it mean to be a member of the presidential team?
Well, it's a privilege out of over 200 million people to be called upon to serve your country under the leadership of a visionary leader like President Tinubu, who wants to do the uncomfortable thing. Because leadership is about also doing uncomfortable things, taking tough decisions, and taking a long-term view of where you want the country to be, or where you want to take the country and the people. So it's demanding, it's tough, because you cannot say people who are feeling the pinch, because your job as a leader is you are carrying a burden. There is a saying that uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Yeah. But President Tinubu has asked for the crown. So, and he has said that he's prepared to bear the uneasiness. So, my job, or our job as member of his media team is to be burden bearers. We are helping him to bear the burden. We are helping him to explain, like I'm doing here, to explain his dream, his aspiration, his program, his policies. We have to explain it to Nigeria. We have to come to Nigeria to let Nigeria know that there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Patience, let's bear with him. We have kicked the can round for too long. It's like, let's just eat the frog once and for all.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Temitope Ajayi, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. It was so enlightening listening to you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, and that's our package on this extended version of Insight. We had as our guest Temitope Ajayi. Oh, there is a caller. I'm sorry, we cannot take that. Temitope Ajayi has been our guest, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. Insight returns tomorrow with another edition. My name is Lawrence Sumoite. Enjoy the rest of your day.